You know, back in 2022, this small regional film from South India did something that was, well, pretty much impossible. It wasn't just a hit. The film Kantara became a cultural earthquake, shaking up box offices and sparking conversations all across the country.
I mean, just think about this for a second. It rocketed to become IMDb's top-rated Indian film of the year. What's so fascinating is that this wasn't some huge budget spectacle. Nope, it was a story deeply, deeply rooted in the traditions of just a few coastal districts, and yet it somehow resonated with millions of people nationwide.
But then, almost overnight, that celebration turned into a total firestorm of controversy. The very culture the film put on a global stage became the center of this furious debate. So, how did a film that got so much love also manage to spark so much backlash? All right, let's break it down.
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to start with the ritual at the very heart of the film, something called Buddha Kola. So what exactly is it? Well, Puta Kola, which is also called Deva Rathane, is this incredibly powerful form of spirit worship. And look, this is a really crucial distinction. According to Tulu tradition, these divas aren't gods from some holy text. They're revered ancestral spirits and local guardians, figures who once lived and served the community and are now honored for their protection.
And yeah, it's this very definition that became the battleground. After the film's massive success, you had two completely conflicting interpretations of this ritual just clash on the national stage.
On one side, you have the film's creator and star, Rishabh Shetty, who actually grew up with this tradition. He stated that for him, as a practicing Hindu, the Buddha Kola rituals are undeniably a part of the broader Hindu culture. But that view was immediately, and let's just say forcefully, challenged. Actor and activist Chetan Ahimsa called it a false narrative. He argued that these are Adivasi, or indigenous, traditions that actually predate the arrival of mainstream Hinduism in the region, and because of that, they are culturally distinct. And that brings us right to the core of the debate. Is Bhuta Kola a vibrant folk practice under the vast umbrella of Hinduism, or is it a distinct, ancient indigenous faith that's being sort of absorbed into a larger religious narrative? This single question is what the entire controversy really hinges on. But this isn't just a back and forth between two celebrities. To find the deeper truth, we have to look at what scholars and folklore experts have to say. And trust me, their perspective adds a whole new layer of complexity. Yeah, according to the experts who've studied this stuff for decades, this is not a simple yes or no question. The historical reality is just far more complex and nuanced than that. For example, Tulu folklore scholar Bananjay Babu Amen clarifies that the original practice wasn't about worshipping pan-Indian gods like Vishnu. He emphasizes that the focus has always been on Daivaradane, honoring local ancestors and guardians to ensure the community's well-being. It's a fundamentally different focus, you see. Then Professor K.S. Bhagawan adds another fascinating layer. He points out that the whole idea of Hinduism as a single, unified religion is a relatively modern concept, something that got popularized during the colonial era. By contrast, Bhuta Kola is an ancient tribal practice that existed long before that label was even widely used. But you know what? The scholarly view isn't even the most surprising part. What truly sets this tradition apart, and what really complicates the whole debate, are two core elements that just defy our modern categories of caste and even religion. First, there's this incredible moment of social inversion. During the ritual, a performer from a community typically seen as lower caste embodies the deva. And for that one night, everything changes. They become a living vessel for the divine spirit, holding immense authority. Even the most powerful landlords and upper caste members have to bow before them, seeking judgment and advice. But then, when the sun rises, the rigid social hierarchy just snaps right back into place. Wild, right?
And second, and this is just astonishing, is its history of inclusivity. Scholars have documented that among the thousands of local divas, over 20 are actually revered Muslim figures. And in some communities, Muslim families even take part in the rituals. This completely blurs the lines, making it almost impossible to fit the tradition neatly into any single religious box.
So, why does a debate over a single film and a regional ritual matter so much? Because it's a microcosm of a much larger global conversation about culture, identity, and ownership in the 21st century. Ultimately, this whole thing forces us to ask some really difficult questions. Who gets to define a tradition? Is it the artist who popularizes it, or the community that has lived it for centuries? How do we represent local faiths authentically in mainstream media? And where is the line between celebrating a culture and absorbing it? In our interconnected world, it really comes down to how ancient, local traditions find their place within our modern identities. Kantara brought a beautiful and complex tradition to the world's attention. But in doing so, it also exposed these deep, unresolved tensions around who owns a story, who defines a culture, and how a faith should be represented. It leaves us with a final, crucial question. When a local faith inspires global art, who truly gets to tell its story?